I keep reading people are unhappy with the podcast, Dax. Are you hearing the same thing? I guess you must be the most unpopular man in wrestling right now, right?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. No, of course I've heard about it. Everybody's tweeted me and texted me, and that's all I read. Yeah, apparently some people in the AEW locker room were unhappy with my podcast, and that's okay if they were. But to me, it's funny that I talked to you, and I told you even before this stuff got out. I told you I had at the very least 20 text messages from the guys and girls that I work with who told me how much they love the podcast. Excuse me, podcast, take two. How much they enjoyed my thoughts and feelings and how I expressed wrestling. And they also enjoyed the fact that I didn't play either side and that I just told the truth. So for some of the people that are upset with me, I wonder why they're upset, because all I did was paint a company that I'm in love with or that I believe in a positive light. And all I did was paint a few people that were in the news in a positive light, because at the core, I believe that they all are good people. But I guess some people weren't happy that I was maybe expressing the true human being that CM Punk is. Or maybe they were unhappy that I was expressing the true human beings that the Young Bucks or Kenny or whoever was. Maybe that's it too. Also, I understand that Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were not happy with me, and that's okay. I'm not bothered by it at all. They were upset because I said something about Dave Meltzer and his friends painting a narrative,
and he took it to mean something else.
He took it to mean something else, and I told Dave. He sent me a message, and I said, "Dave, this is the only thing I'm going to say about it. Take your own advice and go listen to the podcast." Because Matt asked me what I felt, how I felt about journalists. And when I said that I respected Dave's historical documentation of professional wrestling, because it's top notch. And I said that sometimes that the narrative that he paints gets a little less than respect from me, or the narrative that him and his friends paint gets a little less respect from me. The friends I was talking about were him, Brian Alvarez, and the people of that nature. That's nothing negative. That's just how I feel. That's all. That's just how I feel. Right. And they thought it meant something else. And I said, just do yourself a favor and actually listen to the podcast and not read the headlines. So for anybody that's upset with me, I implore them to please come to me. As I would come to you face to face and talk to you and tell you how I feel. To all the people from AEW and even all the people, a ton of people from WWE who downloaded my 2 episodes, who retweeted my 2 episodes, who put over the fact that I was well-spoken, that I was fair, that I was truthful, and the passion, more than anything, Matt, the passion that I have for professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
That's all I have, and that's all I can tell, and that's all that I can portray is what I love and how much I love this. Because there ain't too many things in this world, people included, human beings included, that I love more than wrestling. And so for people to reach out to me and tell me that, and then, God dang, man, then I read that my locker room is unhappy with me. Man, that, for someone who has mental health struggles, that did hurt a little bit. But then I had to take a step back. I talked with you. I talked with Cash. And you reminded me that it's not everybody. It's probably a handful of people. Anyway, to the fans, to my friends, to my colleagues that did download and did enjoy the episodes, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope I can continue to make everybody proud with my truth, with my passion. because this is all I've got, man. This is all I've got. I've got my wife, my daughter, what I perceive to be God, and wrestling, and that's all.
Well, I think you said it better than anybody else could, and I'm glad we're doing this podcast. And I think also, to your point, you got to listen. Like, I saw a headline the other day, like, Dax doesn't care what the AW locker room thinks. And then I clicked on it. I'm like, he never said that. So listen to the show if you're going to comment, or else you're probably going to be wrong.
Matt, you know what's crazy, dude, is for all these people, for all these years who thought that I and Cash hated the Young Bucks, or we had this heat with the Young Bucks, man, I rarely saw anything that said Dax puts the Young Bucks on the Mount Rushmore of tag team wrestling.